Welcome back to the Evolution of Mom. I am so excited to introduce my next special guests here at the Evolution of Mom. I am dedicated to bringing as much value as possible to women and mothers in self-care, in finding passion, purpose, vibrancy, and joy, and bringing in other people who feel that as well, who share those values and who love to share that with other women. And I feel that so deeply about my special guests tonight. I have Kate and Rochelle here who are dedicated to stress-free parenting and both come at it with these beautiful, beautiful gifts. When I got to talk to them the other night, they were tossing around magical words like charts and astrology and moons and all of these things. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to know all of this. And women need to know all of this because I feel like when it comes to women's health and happiness, there's such a holistic view there. There is such an environmental, external environment, internal environment. There's some pretty incredible things at play that I know that you ladies are both very talented in. So I'm so excited to dive into how you use these gifts and tools that you have for stress-free parenting and for women as well. You had me on the other night as a guest to talk about women and a mother in entrepreneurship. So I know you guys guide and coach women there as well. So I am just so excited for this discussion. Thank you so much for being here, both of you. I would love to hear how this all came to be and both of your guys's niches, your individual gifts that you love to share with women.
Thanks for having us, Amy. I'm super excited to be here. I'm sure Rochelle is too. Am I going first, Rochelle?
Are you on?
For it, Kate. Yeah, I was gonna shake it up a little. I was like, Kate, let's see.
Yeah, what happens? Right. Yeah, you're always the lead, so I can start off first. My name is Kate Young. I'm a registered holistic nutritionist. I'm a numerologist. I am a frequency medicine woman, and I'm also a toxin-free living advocate and educator. Super passionate about that. And I'm super, super passionate about empowering families is like the ultimate goal, but I like to do that through empowering the leadership of the household. And generally, the leadership of the household is the mom. As mamas do all the management details of the house, we tend to be the household managers, the nurturers, the caregivers, and quite often that we're the say on what happens in those situations and how we're caring for our children and everything. And so I really am passionate about empowering mothers to step into their power as leaders. And we don't recognize ourselves as leaders a lot of the times. We don't resonate with that word. We do as entrepreneurs. I suppose a mother who is also a business person might resonate with the word leader. But for other mothers who aren't in that position, they might not resonate with the word leader. What do you mean I'm a leader? I'm just the mom, But we're leaders of our tribe. We're leaders of our pack, our little family pack, our little tribe. So, we need to step into our power and lead those little people and lead that family dynamic. And I want to empower them to just step into their best lives, find holistic health, find whole being health, because it really is about health on every single level, and be able to take care of themselves and be able to take care of their families without having to constantly look outside of themselves and without having to constantly look outside of the home. There's always a place for allopathic medicine. There's always a place for going to doctors and hospitals if we need to. But I think especially in our modern age, we've kind of been trained to run there first, when there's so much we can do at home without having to take our children out into those situations so much. And it's really empowering to be able to take care of your children on a whole other level, and to be able to keep them healthy and teach your children about how to keep their bodies healthy, their minds healthy, their environments healthy, all that kind of thing. So I'm really about that kind of empowering of moms in a leadership role.
That is so beautiful. Thank you so much. I totally agree. When we have the tools and the confidence and the belief of the leadership within ourselves, it really does ripple out into our families and it is so empowering. It's so empowering when we can help our littles and guide them and just empower them as well. So that was so beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Rochelle, give us a little bit about yourself.
Oh my goodness, I'm so excited. First off, just so much gratitude for being here. Thank you for having this space. And Kate, thanks for being my sister in all of the things that we do together. It's amazing. So my name is Rochelle McFarlane. I reside in the Silk Territory in the Okanagan in Peachland, BC, Canada. And I have a wellness learning center. It's something that has been a whole dream of mine, that where families can come online and also in person to be able to start learning about engaged sacred play. What do I mean by that? Engaged sacred play means that we are actually giving our full attention. We're coming to the place of presence. And that's the only way we can ever combat stress, is by facing it and becoming present with it. And then we can completely take its power away by saying, oh, I see you. And I'm now going to pivot and focus on something different and how to create solutions. And so that's what Kate and I do together. We have several different modalities between the two of us. And I consider myself as an energetic medicine woman. I'm here to reclaim my ancestral parts, kind of woo here a lot. I've done a lot of drum journeying. And as you can see, there's drums in the background. It's something that's called me out. And in several journeys, I've been given back the vision over and over again that I've done medicine work in several lifetimes. And so now I'm just here really just to stand in it. And with my 4 children, they're all learning it as well as part of their homeschooling program about the energetics of the body, kinesiology. And I've noticed how I pivot in situations so differently than most parents. So now it's like, well, why not get paid for it and actually teach people at the same time? So that's what I'm really here to do. I've invited Kate to be a part of the things that I do, because I'm not a nutritionist. I love food, but I'm not educated in that. I do strongly believe in being self-educated, because when we do know better, we can do better. And until we actually interrupt those patterns within ourselves and honor and acknowledge where we might be missing pieces, we need to reach out. And so that's my main passion was that I don't need to be it all, but I can outsource and have other women join my team. And I'm open to dads joining the team as well, of just being able to uprise and up level. Because when we can activate our own innate healing abilities, anything is possible. When we can teach our children that, that's where we create a positive future and an uplifting future. And that's why I feel like I'm here. My star chart says so. Anyway.
See, every time you say things like star chart, I'm like, oh my gosh, tell me everything. No, that was amazing. Thank you. I am a deep believer in narrowing our focus in our own gifts so we can become amazing at our gifts, and then bringing in people who are amazing at their gifts and collaborating together. I think that's a beautiful thing that I'm finding now. More and more women are stepping back into that and collaborating together instead of competing with one another. And I mean, I know that it's not true all the time, but I also think what we are looking for, we find. And I'm really deeply looking for these types of collaborations and this community of women who are ready to serve and heal and help others find that community as well. And so I believe you guys are such a beautiful example of that. Now, you guys collectively have come together in your gifts to create support for stress-free parenting and all of these beautiful things that you have just said. Now, what is your favorite thing, top thing to tell women and mothers right now, even just from your both of your individual gifts and perspectives?
Just one?
I mean, we can start with one.
Okay. Well, I'm going to just go first on this one, Kate.
Go.
To truly find flowers, leave enough for the bees, but take them to be able to smell them yourself, because life is sweet when you can smell the roses and the flowers.
Oh my gosh. And you know what? As simplistic as that is, it's so impactful and beautiful, because like you talked about presence. When we're doing those little things, it brings us into a present moment. And smelling flowers is beautiful. And then scent is so powerful for our limbic system and our emotions. Kate, I'm sure you know a lot about that as well. You and I are both oil lovers. As Rochelle, you are a lover of the earth as well. So we all love using smell therapy, which is not a technical term at all.
It is now.
It is now.
I second it.
Thank
Kate,
you.
want to
Smell
move the
therapy.
motion?
Cell therapy.
To using that. But yeah, any of those simplistic moments that feels like a gift to yourself and can bring you into a present moment. Absolutely. That's so beautiful. Kate, what do you think?
I think I just like to remind mothers that they are not the lowest rung on the ladder. You are not the lowest rung on the ladder, not anywhere, especially not in your family. So take care of yourself. You're not the last person that needs to be taken care of. Take 2 minutes to go and have a deep breath on the back deck. Take 2 minutes to close the door behind you and lock it so that you can pee by yourself. You know, it's the little steps through. We all know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Like, it took me a while to learn to lock the bathroom door. It's a simple thing, but you just don't realize that, hey, if I just lock the door, they can't come in and I can pee by myself. You know,
My children know how to pick locks, so I just
yours
out
are
the door.
older.
Sorry, I can't hold that in. I just don't be disappointed if they learn that skill. I mean, it can be really handy. But I get what you're saying. I'm sorry.
I feel like my older one will learn that. She's that driven. But it's those little things throughout the day, you know. The little things are going to add up to make one big feeling throughout the day. So don't discount yourself. Never, ever discount yourself. Stand in your power as a human being that deserves to be taken care of and deserves to be taken care of by yourself. You're going to be the first person to take care of you. So, and you're going to be the one and only person who knows how to do it the best, because you know your body and you know what you feel like in it, and you know what your energy is doing, and you know what your mind is doing. So just take care of yourself. Dang it.
Oh, that is so powerful. And I want that message out over and over and over again. I do. I think it's so impactful. And like you said, you know, women, you're not the bottom rung of the ladder here. You're actually the top. Or maybe you're the legs holding it all together, whatever the ladder reference is. But it is so important to learn to take care of yourself. As women, we thrive, and I'm going to use air quotations here, in this state of fight or flight and survival mode and lack of sleep and all of those things. And you're doing great. We do kick ass in that space. We absolutely can. But when we're learning to take care of ourselves and having those little moments, I think it was actually the other night when I was talking to you guys about how it's not a weekend away. It's not a spa day. It's not, I mean, those things help. Go if you can go. But it's those little moments throughout the day, or maybe starting your day proactively with something for yourself that builds up that self-care, that fills your cup, so you're actually giving from a space of fulfillment to others instead of this space of emptiness and survival mode. And it just makes all the difference in the world. It really does, because when you give from a space of, you know, joy and fulfillment and vibrancy and love, it's different than giving from that space of survival mode.
Absolutely. And survival mode, that's a whole rabbit hole that can go, you know, real deep. I mean, that just affects absolutely everything when we're talking about, you know, living in whole being wellness. Fight or flight is not productive for any level of our being. Our nutrition, you know, our organs, our energetics, our mind, our spirit, nothing. It drags it all down. So you know, if that's where you are, and we all have been, and we flip in and out of it still. It is, you know, you don't have continuous 100% time living in this, you know, land of unicorn and rainbows. We do flip into, you know, that survival mode, that, oh my gosh, I'm being attacked by a shark mode. It's going to happen, but you need the powerful tools to use yourself to be able to pull yourself back out of it. And it does not look the same for everybody. So if you're Googling on the internet, self-care for moms, you know, and you're like, oh, I'm never going to be able to do any of this because, you know, my kids get up at 5, so I can't get up before them, or, you know, I can't do this because of this. It just take the ideas and fit it into your own day. You know, there's lots of people who get up before their children to meditate or journal or have their morning coffee so that they can just sit quietly and have their morning coffee. That doesn't work for my family because my kids get up early and I do not want to get up any earlier than them. You know, one of them gets up at 5:36 sometimes, not every day, but I'm not going to risk it. I'm not setting my alarm for 4 every day. It's just not in my constitution. So I have to find other ways to slip in self-care throughout the day. And so, you know, it's not one size fits all. You kind of have to get creative sometime based on your family situation.
Mm-hmm. And I think Rochelle's point of being present really comes into play there. A cup of tea or a cup of coffee, when you're sitting with it and being present with it in its moment of quietness, maybe it is before the kids wake up. Maybe you've, got them started on their show for the morning, their cartoon, and you go separate somewhere. I love going out on the deck when it's beautiful out and I have my hot cup of tea and I make sure that that's a present moment for me where I'm really focusing on how cozy it is to have this cup of tea, how much joy it brings me. So it can be those little things that bring you joy that you can find presence in. And it doesn't have to be this elaborate thing, just something that you as an individual find joy in. What do you think, Rochelle?
Oh, totally. And it's not so much that, I mean, it depends on what your definition of elaborate is, right? And maybe it's the process of picking the cup and then picking the tea and waiting for the water. And what do you do in those processes? So that in itself could be elaborate. Some might just be like, I just grab it and wing it and it's good. And then I finally get there. It depends about you. And it's much like what Kate was saying. It's kind of like a pick your own journey. It's a pick your own path. It's what meaning does that present for you as an individual? And I think that's the biggest challenge that we have is as we're crushing this energy of competition and we're moving into more creativity, we're moving more into that Aquarian energy, that love, that compassion, that self-acceptance. And the more we can do that, the more that we can create it with ease. It's kind of like what I say to clients when we're working with them. It's like, you can go to the gym once and work out, but what happens when you go to the gym consistently over a period of time? What happens to your body? What happens to your mentality? And it's the same with your self-care routine. You might have different things depending on where the moon phase is, depending on, your different returns. You could be doing it also in the different seasons of just your own life, but also Mother Nature seasons. You might have different things. So I like to be as simple as possible because then my expectations are out the window and failure is not even in my radar because I'm like, I'm always succeeding. I'm like right on time. I'm exactly where I am. And so just keeping it as simple as possible. And if it is that elaborate part of what I was talking about, like picking your cup and having the favorite one and having this process, often it's the simpler, the better, because then you'll actually do it. That's really what I think personally. That's my own opinion. And, watching the clients that we've been working with, watching them excel and integrating that in their own life, to me, that's empowerment, keeping things simple, keeping them actually doable. And yeah, that's pretty much about it. I think I answered your question on that.
Yeah, simple, doable, and consistent, right? Those small, consistent things, like you said, Kate, build up to this beautiful big win. But all those little things along the way are little wins along the way too, right? And I absolutely have a process of picking my mug in the morning. I don't know if I've ever correlated that as like part of the thing, but it is. I have some mornings I feel like my ceramic looking homemade one, and other mornings I feel like I have this one that's like a ridiculous avocado. It's ridiculous. It's like cut in half. It has a flat edge. And maybe those are days when I'm feeling more silly and fun. I'll have to pay more attention to that.
I have mugs in my house that are tea mugs, and I have other mugs that are coffee mugs. And don't you dare put your coffee in my tea mug. And I would never
rule at my house. And people always say I'm crazy. Oh my gosh, Kate.
Yeah.
I knew it. And everyone's like, you tell your husband he can't put coffee in that mug? Absolutely. I tell him that.
That's my tea mug.
You're tainting my tea mug.
Yeah. All my tea mugs hang under a shelf in our kitchen. I like have hooks, and all my tea mugs hang because they're my favorites and they hang out where everybody can see them. And all the coffee mugs are, I don't mind coffee. I drink coffee here and there, not as often, but they're in the cupboard.
Oh my gosh. Yes, that makes me feel so much better. Thank you. Now, Rochelle, you brought in that beautiful spiel you just gave us, which was amazing. I don't want to use spiel. That's the wrong word because I can't think of another word right now, but it was amazing. you said things like cosmic and moon and all of these beautiful things. Tell me how knowing those things and putting them into practice helps women.
Well,
I feel like
first
that's a
off,
big question. Maybe
it
like
is a big question. It is
maybe
a big
do
question.
like the
I can simplify
grade
it though.
ground zero version.
I can totally simplify it. Okay. So we're energetic beings, right? Can we agree on that? And if we're going to disagree on that, reach out. Let's have a chat about this, because there's these like cool energy battery balls that we show in classes when we're teaching about how we are energetically in tune with each other, but we can also create circuits. So because we have this energy running through us, matter is everywhere around us, and it is energy as well. So when we can start to understand the different forms of energy around us and how we interact with it, whether we're proactive and responding or we're reactive and we are now freaking out over that energy that's coming in and out of our space. So when we can understand that and start to then articulate it through using different modalities like astrology, numerology, Kate and I love kinesiology. That's where we jam a lot in specialized kinesiology, the study of movement and energy in the body. When we can start to understand those things, that's how stress-free parenting happens, because stress never goes away. What does go away is our reaction. And so when we can choose to come from a regulated, balanced place, because of the tools that Kate and I teach, and you can more than welcome to lean into them as well, what happens is now we come from creation. And when we can come from creation, we become curious. And that is our innate essence of all beings. It's all of the things that kind of happened and got thrown into our life experience called trauma. Everyone is traumatized when they're born. It's just the way it is. What can happen is if we unpack that, we start to now understand, and we can now perceive and appreciate the energy that's around us. Even if it's two screaming girls in the back of a car, we can say, hey, they're having fun and we're in the front and we're giving them this opportunity. My ears have a completely different idea of it, but when I become curious behind what brings them joy, that completely shifts my mind. So I hope that was like a simple, succinct idea and answers your question. I don't know, Kate, if you have anything to add to that, but we were just in the car with two squealing girls. So that's an inside joke.
Before you hopped on, I had actually just mentioned that to her, how it was a very loud car ride home and we were trying to talk, and there was a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old having a blast behind us, and we're in this enclosed space. And I was like, I'm one of those people who, when it's really loud like that, especially when it's talking, I have a really hard time comprehending what the other person's saying to me. And I'm like, I find myself like leaning my ear, like, if I do this, can I hear you better? No, I can't. But yeah, they were absolutely coming from a place of joy. They hadn't seen each other in quite a long time, and they were very excited to be hanging out, and they were both dressed in pink, and they both have May in their name, and they're just very, very excited little wild girls. So they were having a grand time. Yeah, even if my brain was having a really hard time.
It's reminds me of how people, when they're driving, the music's really loud, they turn it down so they can think about where they're going. It's kind of like that. You can't have those.
I have to do that if I'm like backing up or I'm trying to like pull into somewhere. I'm like, oh, if I pull into like a parking lot and there's like people everywhere, I'm like, I turn the music down.
Right. I'm like, what was that address again? Let me just turn this down so I can think about the numbers. Right. I feel you. I do. And I love that, Rochelle. I love about getting curious about why, yes, it would be so easy to turn around and be like, girls, like, we can't focus because it's a little loud in this, but you said they're having such a beautiful time. It's not like they were negatively screaming or, there was something going on fight wise or anything like that. You allowed them that space. And I think that's a beautiful awareness we can have as parents, is I think our kids can teach us a lot about play and curiosity and those kind of things, especially when we give them the space to do it. So kudos for you for giving them the space to do it in a car. That's amazing. And yes, we are all energetic beings on so many levels. I mean, we can even measure energy in the body on, not only frequency, but on different systems in different organs. Like, it's amazing. It's so amazing. So absolutely. When you were talking the other night about the moon and how the moon controls the water of the world, well, we have so much water inside of us. It's within our very cells. And so it always fascinates me when I hear women talk so beautifully and intelligently about how the moon affects us as humans. And I love how you said that you can learn to come at it from a proactive space, because I know a lot of us live in a very reactive space from things that are even just more obvious in our day-to-day, things that are right in front of our face. And so learning to get more proactive in those situations, coming at it from a space of fulfillment instead of emptiness and those things, but now going out on an energetic level, and even in those forces like the moon, to be able to proactively be aware of those energetics, because I think that's spectacular, because we can all think about moments we've had where we're just like, I don't understand why I'm feeling this way today. I'm not, I'm okay. I'm happy. Things are fine, but I am not. And there's this like shift in my energy. And so many people bring to my attention that it's not only just the hormonal fluctuations we have in our body, which I understand, but there's also this moon and the energies and all like numerology. I know nothing about numerology, so I can't, we're gonna have to maybe dive into that. You guys are gonna have to come back for sure. But I think there's so much out there that we can learn to be more proactive with. I love that, coming from a proactive space.
And to be able to teach our children that, right?
Yes.
On the car ride home, Zena was like driven out. She had enough driving time, and I had to explain to her, it's okay for you to cry, but the volume is distracting me from driving. Do you need me to pull over? And she's like, no, that's going to take longer. And I was like, oh, good. So you're aware that I am driving as fast as I can. And then it is hard. It is so hard. But when we continuously tell ourselves that it's hard, guess what we're doing? We're giving our energy now to what's hard. So the universe goes, oh, okay, I'll have your order right up. Here's a boulder. Deal with that, instead of like being able to have fine sand. So as soon as I made that connection with her, she was like, okay. And then I was like, well, if I drive any faster, the cops might not enjoy that. That's going to slow us down even more, because they're going to want me to pull over and give me a ticket. Do you want that to happen? She's like, no. But she's also now at a stage where I can reason with her a little bit more. But it does take practice, right? And the more that we connect with them and converse with them from a state of calm in ourselves, like I wanted to rage and just tell her to shut the fuck up. Like, I'm sorry if that was rude, but I'm going to say I teach these things, but I'm a very real person too. I have my own limits. So this is when it comes to parenting is that we need to know our own limits and also play within it. And to be able to understand and to be able to express to our children, like, I'm having a hard moment too right now. This is challenging for me. Can we work together? Can we create a team environment? What are some solutions? And so that's like a little free training for you right there. You're struggling with your parenting and you're struggling with your children. All we want as humans, you can call it Maslow hierarchy of needs. You can call it whatever you want. Our basic needs are connection first. And if we're constantly correcting our children all over the place, guess what? We're coming from a place of now telling them that they're wrong. Now they're going to be defensive and be a complete jerk back to us. And around the merry-go-round we go. Oh, wait, they took those away from us because they're dangerous, right? But you get what I mean, around and around in a circle, right? So that's where Kate and I come in. We help you step out of those cycles, start understanding within yourself. And whether you follow the moon or not, there is still energy that's happening and interacting with you. And if we're going to ignore it, guess what the energy does? It gets louder. Just like what happens within our bodies. Our bodies keep score. Our children keep score. And not in a way that we're talking about sports, but in an energetic part. And as you mentioned, our cup can get filled or can be emptied. And it's the same with our children too. And so when we can continuously be filling them up, they turn around and fill you up. And then you get these glorious teenagers that bring you things. We were interviewing our mentor. He brought her flowers halfway through, and he's turning 8 soon, or 9. I think Dora's 9. And it's being able to give them that space. Yeah, I went on a tangent there because I was all excited. I was like, yeah, the moon has a huge thing. It's actually first quarter while we're doing this recording. I think when this goes live, it'll be actually full moon, which will be happening with our event. This is Kate and I take time to look at when the peak energies are to do things. And so, yeah, September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd, maybe this is last minute for you, but come and join us. We have this amazing free retreat where You get to learn these tools, come into a sacred container, because community is what we all need. And it might not fit for you, but we'll tell you that you'll fit right in.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I love, 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 love everything you just said. About the children, about giving them that space, about the encouragement, all of that was so spectacular. And yes, these women are putting on a 3-day free online, I believe it's a Zoom that you come into. So you're in this beautiful container. And yeah, I am so excited. Can you give us a little bit of what that's going to look like? What everyone is going to be learning about? Because I'm very excited about all of it.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Kate, share what you're bringing in.
Well, I'm definitely going to be talking about some numerology. So we're going to be talking number energy, the number energy around the 3 days that we're going to be there. So we'll talk about the different numbers and the different energy that brings, high side and low side energy for each different day. We may bring a little extra side stuff in on the numerology if there's going to be time, but we're definitely going to be talking about the 3 days, possibly the number energy around the full moon, and then how the kind of the full moon, the full moon brings a certain energy with it and supports us to do certain tasks, actions, have certain mindsets, emotions, that kind of thing. It supports our bodies in certain ways, supports our emotions in certain ways. And so how the kind of the full moon is going to play into those three, the number energy of the 3 days as well. And then, I'm always throwing in whatever else I can. So if there's anything that comes up around nutrition or immunity or anything like that, then and which we have talked about before is immunity activation, using our body, using energy, balancing. So yeah, I'm excited to talk about all the numbers for sure.
Yeah. Because it's also the equinox. So during those 3 days, the equinox runs right smack dab in the middle of the 22nd. And participants, when they come, they're going to walk away knowing that there's community that they fit into, that understand them, that want to see them rise up. As I mentioned in our interview, when the tide comes in, all boats rise. And that's really the theme, exactly. All of us to come up together. So the full moon happens on the Monday, and it's in Pisces. It's mutable water energy. And because of the essence of where we are in humanity's evolution, part of what we'll be tackling is how to actually understand how to balance yourself to that space to be able to honor. So there'll be some time for journaling. There'll be a drum journey, a little bit of a meditation that'll happen. And we're really encouraging you to take the time to set up your space, to create, to put some flowers out for yourself if that brings you joy. Pick out your special cup, special tea. Maybe it's coffee. It is from 7 till 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. But for those that are challenged with that time, depending on where they are on the globe, replays will be put up. And we have a sacred private Facebook group where we also stream it in. So it's really accessible, finding those replays. And then you can comment and create community in there. And it's time for us to actually really nourish ourselves in this kind of space. It's time for us to slow down and integrate some little pieces along the way, so then that we know and can understand ourselves. And I believe that part of this is just making that commitment to yourself. It's a free event. We're not making any money off of this. You're not spending any money on this. We're not asking you to drive anywhere. We just want you to be cozy in your own space and to just be prepared to be open. We'll be talking about accelerated learning. The school year has just started, and just fitting in pieces as the questions come. Also too, of just how to actually walk a stress-free path for them, and really making it about that. And I love the part of that Kate mentioned about the immunity. When the seasons shift, there's old energy that needs to leave the body. So summer heat has to leave the body. And then now we have this cooling down of the fall. For those of us that are in the Northern Hemisphere, that's what we experience. And of course, in the Southern Hemisphere, we're experiencing something different. So the foundation of this is actually helping you to shift and to step into this new energy that's coming in of fall and of autumn. And there's a lot of beauty there. And then the full moon is about releasing and letting go. So there's lots of space about that. There'll be breakout rooms so that you can do some really cool little, we have some like kind of like adult games in a sense, but they're really about childlike play and bringing that wonder back in. Because when do we ever stop to learn about ourselves, to know what we like, to know what we want, to know what is it that we really want to step into? And as I'm in my infancy stages of learning about astrology, I know that the cosmos right now really wants us to step more into our voice, more into our capacity to serve ourselves, and more into claiming our personal power. So that is what we're wrapping up in these 3 days, to just really serve this rise, because the rise is happening with or without us. Kate and I just want to serve and to be a part of it, because it's part of our calling. Like, it's like what we're here to do. No more messing around.
I believe that. I can see that for both of you, that you're absolutely called here to do this. Oh my goodness, have so much to say about what you just described. I think as women, as mothers, we need as many tools as possible to be proactive in our space, especially when it comes to things that are going to help us be stress-free. We love to live in this state of stress, and I think it's time we flip that narrative and begin to dive into practices like this and dive into things that are unknown to us. That's another really big part of filling our cup, is getting out of our comfort zone. That's a really big one. When we're in our comfort zone, sometimes it gets not so comfortable. Right. And so we can go out into this next layer of growth and expansion. And that's where like this magic happens, where, like you said, you discover things that you like as an individual. You discover your purposes, your passions, and all of these things. And as women, sometimes we tend to overcorrect. We go out too far, and then we're in this zone of anxiety and overwhelm. So there's a balance there. But when we can learn to play within that realm, oh, this was, I took on too much this one time. Now I'm going to come back in and not go too far into the comfort zone and back, but living in that space between your comfort zone and that space of learning and growth is really spectacular. And maybe this is something that you haven't experienced yet. Maybe you've never dive. It's so late. It's past my bedtime, people. Maybe you've never experienced or experimented, we're going to go that way, with these types of practices, but maybe it's the missing piece for you right now. I know it is for me. I have come at all of my growth from a very mental, physical space. I've definitely gone on this healing journey physically. I have been doing this whole flip with my mentality over the last couple of years and personal growth that way. And I'm being so called to bring in this more spiritual, earthly, connective aspect to this next level of growth. So I know I am so excited to come and partake in these 3 days and see you guys in your element, in your gift. I am so excited. And I know a lot of other women will be too. So I am looking so forward to seeing that and to being a part of it. And so you're going to hear this episode on the 20th of September. And this is September 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Zoom rooms. Like you said, get yourself cozy. Take that time for yourself. Honestly, even just taking time for yourself and meeting with women who are supportive and like-minded is something that's going to fill your cup. Absolutely. So I thank you both so much for being here. I love hearing how you talk. I can't wait for future conversations and diving more into this. I can't wait to see how this event goes and to recap after even. I'm so excited about that. And I see a lot of things like this in the future as well. I feel like this is just a beginning for both of you, this course. So I can't wait to see it. So thank you both so much for being here. Each one of you, quickly, if you can give one tangible, quick little takeaway that someone could start doing right now as a woman, even tomorrow, to make her day a little stress-free, what would it be?
Do you have one, Kate? Because I got one. I was just being polite. I was waiting my turn.
I always
have
got
no
like my
problem
number
going
one
first.
health tip in my head, which is drink lemon water, but I was like stress-free.
Perfect.
That's a different question.
Water and lemon help with stress. We know that.
Well, this is true. Absolutely. It's like my answer for everything. Drink lemon water in the morning as much as you can before you
Perfect.
eat. It's just like it's like my go-to. It makes life so much better.
It
really
does.
Make sure it's warm.
Yep. Room
I don't drink
temperature.
mine warm.
No,
No, you drink it cold?
It's not cold. It's not like on ice or anything, but it's just out of the filter that we have,
Mhm.
like a filter on the thing. So, but it's stainless steel, so it's like the cooler side of room temperature, but it's not ice cold. But I don't got no time for warming that shit up.
Yes,
No.
room temperature lemon water. It is good. It is good. It's good for our
So
mind, our body,
good.
our gut, our liver, and it can set up your day a little better. I believe
Absolutely. And you know what? Lemon and water, well, lemon would have a vibration to it. I mean, water does too. And the more higher vibe foods and beverages you can put into your body, then that also affects your energy as well. And so does hydration.
that. Mhm.
Water is a very, very good conductor of electricity. And so are electrolytes, which are found in lemons. So you have your perfect little own concoction of conduction juice. You hydrate your body.
Concoction.
Conduction elixir. If you're hydrating your body properly, you can conduct energy better, which is going to allow those emotions to flow through you better. It's going to allow the energies to flow, to you, through you, and out again if it's not something that serves you. We don't want stuck energy that doesn't serve us. So, making sure you're hydrated is going to be key to that.
I'm going to go the opposite end. I'm going to say, once you're done your hydrating, make sure you're letting it go and making sure that you're giving yourself permission to release. Because as much as we want to put in, if we're not letting it go out, then we're just holding on to things that are no longer serving us. And that's currently what the energy we're in right now is: full moon energy, releasing and letting go. So one of the little quick tips that I would do is just to place your hand on your abdomen, right around above your pubic bone, sort of like between your belly button and your pubic bone. And then just gently press, just 2 flat hands, just gently press and check in and like, do I need to go? And those we call our P buttons. Do I need to go? Do I not need to go? And just being able to check in, because we're so disconnected from our body. And a lot of times our stress is because we're either not putting hydration in, like Kate said, or we're actually not letting go of what is inside of our body. And that's generally between those two things. That's where we can start to dissolve the stress and to be letting the stress go in our body. So just checking in. And of course, there's also defecation too. It can be tackled with that button for now, but there are definitely more ways to help yourself with the releasing of your, bowel movements. We got to talk about poop. We need a whole section
How
just
can we not?
I'm a nutritionist. We have to talk about poop. It's just holistic nutritionists do. It's like an unwritten rule that you got to talk about it.
Oh my gosh, you guys are triggering all these amazing anatomy conversations I want to have with you now.
Yes.
Okay, ladies, it is not too much to take the time to hydrate and to pee. I bet you sometimes if you're frantic and you're running around, it's because you have to pee, but you've told yourself you're too stressed and you don't have time because you're too busy, because you just have to tackle this one more thing.
Yeah.
Right? I'm going to tackle this one more thing.
My little guy, who is going to be 3 in November, is a perfect example of this. He's just learned to potty train, right? In the last maybe 2 months. I think it was like mid-July, he decided, okay, he's going to start, actually going to the bathroom outside of a diaper. So right before a big trip, of course, perfect timing. So, he's still, we're still just learning. He does really good. He's fully out and everything, but he is the kind of kid who doesn't want to go because he's doing something. My daughter would just go. If she had to pee, she'd walk out of the room and off she'd go. She wouldn't say anything and she'd just go do it. And then she'd come back and continue what she was doing. And she'll sit down for dinner and be like, I gotta pee. And off she goes, right? She'll just, if she feels it, she's going. He doesn't. He doesn't want to take time away. Excuse me. And we noticed on that trip, actually, that we took a week and a half after he decided he wasn't going to wear diapers anymore, that if he was frantic and having tantrums and crying for like no reason and stuff, it was because he had to pee. He was holding on to it and he didn't want to go. I mean, at that time he'd only been into it about a week and a half, so it was still like freaky for him. But he still doesn't now. If he's too busy, he doesn't want to go, and his mood switches. And you can tell it's because his nervous system is overreactive. He's overreacting to everything around him. Anything his sister does is like, what, tears, and he doesn't want food, and he doesn't want water, and he doesn't want this, and like, and then it hits you upside the head. You're like, you have to pee. And if you can get him to go, it's usually a struggle. He doesn't want to. That's not the problem. No, I don't want to go. And that upsets him even more. But if you can get him to go, and once he does, he's like an entirely new kid. It's bananas. And it's so cool to see the difference in the two of them. But he's like the perfect example of what we're both just talking about here, like letting go of it, because energetically you need to let go of what you're releasing in your body, but you physically need to release what's in your body so that your nervous system can, cope. If your bladder's completely full, you're sending lots of signals to your brain, like something's wrong here, something's wrong, So yeah,
you're adding to that fight or flight.
You're adding to the fight or flight, and
adding to it.
Yeah. And he's totally in that like fight or flight. And like, once he goes, he's just this happy little, he's back to his happy, charming little lovely self. And it's so, so interesting. And just the perfect example. So mamas, you always have time to pee. It doesn't take very long.
It doesn't, especially if you can still lock the door, because then you're not distracted, right?
Especially if you don't have teenagers and they can't pick the lock yet.
No, it's my youngest that does. Yeah. It's great.
The things we go through just to simplicity pee, right? Lessons we can learn from our children, and the lessons we can learn from our experiences, and sharing them like this, which is just what I love so much. So thank you guys for coming on, sharing your experiences, sharing your stories and your gifts with us. I look forward to seeing more of what you guys create. I know it's going to be so beautiful. So thank you for sharing your time with me tonight. And yeah, I will make sure that everyone can find you, because they need you in their life. I can feel it. So thank you so much. Thank you, listeners, for coming back. We'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye.